Welcome to the Get Busy podcast with your boy B Jones.
That's me.
Your boy Izzy aside.
That's him.
What up? What up, people? What
What's
up, family?
good? What's good, people? How y'all feeling, man?
Man, it's a great day, bro.
It is a great day.
It's definitely a great day.
You got a lot of stuff going on in your life right now.
I mean, let's just, both feet, jump right on into it.
You want to talk about that now or later?
Man, I'm gonna kind of bring it in,
Okay.
it in, as we talk about this because the topic kind of relates, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, man. So, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Bryant was interviewed by Cam Newton on his show.
What's it called? The Cam Newton podcast?
Man, I don't really know what it's called. I should probably know that
Do
before I
research
say it.
and stuff?
Yeah.
We're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
Hey, but, to keep it real, hey, man, shout out to Cam Newton, man. Like, a big salute because I don't know if he knew, the direction that the conversation was going to go beforehand, but just the fact that, like, he had enough balls to go ahead and put it on out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah, he definitely put his business out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't expect it to go that way, but the fact that he went ahead and aired that episode because it did not paint him in a very good light.
It didn't. And I mean, and the lady that was interviewing him Dr. Bryant is her name, was being respectful to him, but like the truth was just the truth at the end of the day.
There's a lot of combinations, a lot of two pieces.
Yeah, man.
With the biscuit, you know what I'm saying? Like with them truth bombs that I think our community and just like, the community as a whole needs to hear anyway.
100%, man.
So, she was basically, they were talking about a lot of different topics, relationships or whatever, but when they got on him and, he's basically saying like, I got, what was it? How many kids?
8 kids.
8 kids, 3 different women.
He wants more.
And he wants more. Like he was proud of that because, he's a football star, plenty of money. He can take care of them, put them up in nice houses.
And side note too, and he's actively he's an active participant in their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and the standard that the world looks at it, you know what I mean? A lot of people would be like, man, that's a good dad. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, and I agree with that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But
she took all that and she had the axe and just like chopped his legs from up under him. I was like, ooh. Yeah. So what did she say? Tell the people what she said.
So first I'm gonna he said, I just want God to bring them, talking about more kids. He said, my point is this: my desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce, but I want more kids. And then he said to her, as you would say it, I didn't say it. I would agree with it though. I'm just taking my time, when it comes to getting married. Okay. Mm-hmm. And man, this is where it starts going to the gut punches right here. She says you have 8 kids with 3 different women. Mm-hmm. You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You are being very selectively active. She said you want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears, but you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam, but you will selfishly create broken families.
Wow.
Wowzers. So I'm going to read a little bit more because she said, even if you're in their lives and you are a proactive father, and I believe you are an amazing dad, I can only imagine by just your presence and knowing you thus far, that every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all, will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. And, we can just kind of pause right there for a second because that basically sums up the feel and the context of the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the topic of the day, man, is creating broken families. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that nobody really wants to accept that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not really thinking that that's what's happening when you're out here doing these things.
Yeah.
But to her point, man, and to her credit and to his credit for like I said, airing this to begin with, she's 100% right.
Yeah.
She's 100% right. And like you said, for the community at large, and the way society is pushing things, man.
Yeah.
Like, we have this idea that it's almost okay. Oh, if you're making enough money, it doesn't matter what it is you're doing, as long as you're taking care of those babies. But what does taking care of those babies really mean, though?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, she hit it when she says, not every one of those kids can have daddy at home, tonight, Not everyone's going to wake up with dad, and not going to go to bed with dad there.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, man, I mean, that's, and this is the Get Busy podcast, so we're going to try to give it to you as raw as we can, as truthful as we, how we feel, whether, we agree to disagree or not, you know what I'm saying? But like, you can probably hear my kids in the background now, like, they're just in my marriage, like, we've had some like really tough times. And one of my goals when I got married was like to stay married. Mm-hmm. And so I knew how hard that was. Like, most of the people I spoke to that told me about marriage, like, nobody sugarcoated what marriage was. So I kind of went in, I feel like, with a good outlook on what to expect, but like, you don't really know until you're in there. And so yeah, I've had a few times where it's like, I'm about to break this family up. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause there's no way I can do this. But with God's grace, we was able to do it. And now y'all can hear all the yelling in the back, you know what I'm saying? The kids having a good time. Hey, cause they're in a non-broken home. So that's a blessing. But it took a lot of work. So, but yeah, it's something that it's the way that God intended it. And God being the creator of everything, he made humans. So I think he knows what way is best, you know what I'm saying? And so, and situations happen.
Yep, they do. Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, to that point, man, like, not only do situations happen, but it's like the world is set up for situations to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, sex sells. You see it all over TV nonstop, in every commercial, in every advertisement, in every TV show, in every movie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Point blank period. When you're growing up, a lot of times it's almost like you're less of a dude, you're less of a man if you're not actively trying to go get some, kitty cat from somebody. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. And
I'm trying to get some. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's just the real, man. And like, man, we're so like confused and like distorted as a generation of people, as a society. Yeah. Because like the family foundation has been broken down and been perverted so much that like I said earlier, man, it's almost like it's a normal thing for that not to be the case. As long as you can bring enough bread into the house, it's all good, Yeah. And man, you got these, and man, look, temptation is not easy. You know what I'm saying?
It's really not.
So it's not just like people out here actively trying to do the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got, these women out here just tossing it up, here you go, like a softball or something. It's like, I can't even miss it. Like I got my glove on. I got my catcher's mitt on, and so.
That wasn't my experience. I didn't have it like that. That's probably more your experience. You had that gift of gab, bro. Like, I didn't have it it wasn't that easy, you know what I'm saying, for me, but all jokes aside, like, and really we wanted to talk about this topic, not to shame anybody that is either created a broken home or is living in one or came from one or whatever. But I think we need to talk about real topics so we can, just as a people, you know what I'm saying, just move forward in a better light and try to like correct some of the stuff that either we've done or somebody's done to us or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's the goal.
So this topic, hits me so hard just because when she's speaking on it, this is exactly the life that I've created for some of my kids. I'm married now with my wife. We've just hit the 4-year anniversary. And you're right, man. Like, marriage is very easily the most difficult thing that any person's ever going to do in their lives.
Hands down, bro. Listen. Okay. I always give this example. All right. The most like forgiving and like insightful, like spiritual person I've ever like seen or heard of in my life was Nelson Mandela. Mm-hmm. This dude was thrown into prison for like most of his like prime of his life, got out of prison as an old man, didn't do nothing wrong, and still like forgave the people that threw him into prison because of, you know, the whole apartheid thing.
Yep.
And man, him and Winnie got divorced. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, Nelson can't hold it together, man. It's tough out here, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So he could hold it through the damn near slavery and everything else. You know what I mean?
What I'm saying?
Yeah, or Jim Crow, I guess what apartheid was more like. But you know, man. So yeah, that's as real as it gets, man.
Yeah.
But as a product, especially, you know, in the Black community and in a lot of the communities, you know, it's not just isolated.
This is universal.
It's universal. It's not isolated to any particular person. You know what I mean? Or type of people. It's just so real, man. You know, but I personally, you know, come from what's considered to be a broken home, and I didn't even really think of it as that. You know what I mean? Like my dad never got married. You know what I mean? But I was involved in all of my brothers' lives because my dad made it a normal thing. You know, so I thought that was, you know, hey, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I also thought that even though I knew God's design, I knew I wasn't supposed to be having sex before marriage. You know. And I knew that I was supposed to be getting married. You know.
Yeah.
But the examples that I saw, you know, they worked. I mean, all my family's lives, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. So I thought that I could also create the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And one day, like Cam Newton, you know what I'm saying? When I find the right one, I'm going to get married, you know?
Right.
But in the meantime, and this lady, what she says, Dr. Bryant, man, it's so true. And I didn't even think about it like that. Like, you know, just for a small example, like I got a 14-year-old daughter now. She's amazing. I got 2 boys, Isaiah and Milas. And we're going to jump into that in about a couple seconds as well. And a daughter with my wife now, Naomi. And I never took into consideration, because in my mind, you know, hey, if Anaya needs something, she can call, you know what I mean? And she, you know, hey, you know, daddy's always here for you. You know, you have these conversations to kind of create that atmosphere.
Yeah.
But that's relying on whatever age she is, 10 years old, 9 years old, 15, whatever it is, right? That's me saying that, hey, I'm putting the responsibility on you to know when you, need to call me, to have an understanding that this is a situation that daddy might be better, you know, at handling than. That's not fair for any kid because they don't know that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if I was in that house when whatever the situation, maybe mommy was arguing with you and you didn't feel good, you know, and you could have come and talked to me if I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just little stuff that we don't necessarily take into consideration when we're doing this, whether you're paying child support or you're being available and everything else. And shouts out to all the men that are doing that. And man, it's a whole lot of women that are contributing in a mighty way to these broken homes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't value, you know, sex. We don't value, you know, and more than not valuing sex, man, we don't value the responsibility of baby making, man. It's a whole bunch of people that's practicing baby making, and there's just not as many babies as is being practiced.
For sure.
So, you know, it's something that's very real. It's something that it affects so many people. And man, the community of believers, the job of believers, man, is really to start to get the ship back on course as much as we can. And so that's why, you know, having this conversation right now, you know what I mean, just having some real talk about it, and being transparent also. Like, look, just because you start off, you know, on the wrong path doesn't mean that you can't try to get it, you know, back on the right track. So
yeah, and not, you know, speaking on my own experience, man, like, you know, I came from a divorce, you know, so my parents were married before they had us. They got divorced when I was 5. Throughout the whole thing, like it felt normal to me, you know what I'm saying? Even when I vividly remember like my dad, when he had his stuff and he was walking out the door and my mom was like, you know, he's going to live somewhere else. I was just like, okay. You know what I'm saying? My brother was a little bit older. He was like more affected by it.
yeah.
It's just like my small brain just didn't really compute all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he lived like almost like, you know, I don't know, it was like 10 minutes away from what I remember. Okay. Not far, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we go visit him. It was a cool like studio apartment. Like I like going over there. It's just something to do. So I was, you know, I was good, man. Like, but like through that brokenness, a lot of bad stuff came out of it too. You know what I'm saying? My mom got remarried. It's just like a lot of different, like a whole lot of drama like came out of it. But like, you know, when me and my wife, when we were in marriage counseling, like some of the childhood stuff from her and me like was coming up, and I was able to, you know, sit with our counselor, me and my mom, and talk about some of that stuff that happened. And, you know, luckily for us, we're able to be able to talk about those things and like heal from it. And even like my dad, like, you know what I'm saying? I remember he had called me like out the blue, like this is years ago. He just like apologized, you know what I'm saying, for the divorce. And I didn't even feel like he owed me an apology because he was always a phone call away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We just talk about whatever and it was cool, you know, but like, you know, then we got even closer after I got married. It's more stuff to talk about. And after I had kids, more stuff to talk, you know what I'm saying? So like we've always had a good relationship. But like I feel like I'm really blessed in that, you know, they both tried their best to like, you know, through the divorce, like, you know what I'm saying? Make
keep it, you know.
Yeah, I never doubted neither one of their love for me.
Right.
Like, and they've never like talked down about each other.
Right.
Like that to where I'm like
Which is also very huge.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like it was, you know, it's like, again, like a lot of bad things will happen from that, but like to be able to address it and have open conversations, like there's a lot of healing in that.
Yeah, 100%. And to your original point, you said that God designed, you know, he created everything, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, you know, when you have a TV and it's like a Toshiba or, you know, whatever it is, right? And you don't go to, you know, the Samsung, you know, phone manual to fix your TV. You go to the Toshiba because that's the one that made the TV, right? So God made us. So his outline, his plan for what it is that we're supposed to be doing, obviously is the best thing to get us working the most right, you know?
For sure.
And so that's one of the things that I think is really important because, man, you know, just like you said, you know, you had, you know, dad, mom still showing you nothing but love, you know what I mean? You knew it was there, but you still end up missing a little something. And a lot of times we don't even realize what it is that we're missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just look at yourself and say, oh, this is because of this and this is because of that. Sometimes you got people that play the blame game like, oh, you weren't there or this and the third and, you know, all this other kind of stuff. Yeah. And some of that's very real, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that you can always like self-analyze, you know what I mean? And get it 100% right. You know, that's tough, you know? So, man, just the call, and I'm gonna go back to myself real quick. So I got 2 boys, you know, and man, I went 4 years, 1 month, and 2 days without seeing them. I went from from February 9th, 2019 to March 11th, 2023 without seeing them. During that process, I started a custody situation.
Yeah, and not by choice, by the way.
Yeah, not by choice at all. I've been trying to find them the whole time, and then COVID happened, but I continued to search and search and search, and that's because I created 2 kids outside of the covenant of marriage and not being responsible the way that I thought that I should have been, or the way I thought I actually was. I thought I was being responsible. Right. I was in a relationship, you know what I'm saying? Like I was dedicated to it, blah, 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 blah. We were going to get married one day, you know, and then life happened, you know. You know, hey, man, praise be to God, you know, as of yesterday, you know what I'm saying? We just got full custody of the boys back, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's going to be an amazing thing. You know, they've been in our lives for the last couple of years just for, you know, every other weekend, but now it's like full time every week, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So ultimately grateful for that, man. But then there's difficulty that's going to come along with that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a big transition. It's going to be a lot of work that's going to go, you know, behind the scenes and in the front of the scenes too, to kind of make sure that things are right. But we're here for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He didn't go through this fight for nothing. And you know, still praying for moms and for the relationship, you know, for her and the kids to continue to grow and develop, and for her relationship with the Lord to continue to grow and develop, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that things can just be in a much better place, in a better space. But to the ultimate point of what this lady was saying, if I was operating out of a place of responsibility earlier, if I had manned up enough, and I feel like that's where a lot of people struggle, man. Like we call ourselves men, we want to be respected and we want to be looked at as men, but then when we're operating, we're not really truly operating, you know, like what a real man is supposed to operate out of. And that was me, you know what I mean? I was letting, you know, my body decide, my flesh dictate what it was that I was doing. Yeah. And again, it's so easy to do when everything in the world is telling you that's okay, you know? For sure. And so it's, again, not to like say nothing about anybody else, because I got to get the speck out of my own eye before I can get the plank out of anybody else's. But it's just real life. Yeah, you know? It's just it's where we are. It's what's going on. So again, shout out to Cam Newton though, because people knew that he had kids, but I think this conversation was so real and so raw that it put a spotlight on the reality of it,
Right.
It kind of changed the way that people were viewing it. Man, Cam's been getting crucified on like social media, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of these people knew he had 8 kids already anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like you got new information. You know what I'm saying? But now because this lady highlighted it, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy too, right?
And I don't think we should, and that's the culture we live in now.
Man.
Especially when you're famous and you're online and people have access to you, through social media, and that's the way that, and it's a thing that people do to feel better about their own shortcomings, like try to down somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So it's one thing to talk about a situation, but to like sit there and try to like throw, jabs at somebody like, oh man, this, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's silly. But yeah, so my hope is through that conversation, there'll be more productive conversations because of that, and that we won't ignore it or shy away from it, but like lean into it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's tough when you are in a situation where you're not in it. You're in a home that's broken, or you come from that, or whatever. It's like sometimes you just want to like put that to the side and ignore it and go, do something else. But like, hopefully that, man, with the power of God, like anything can be restored.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So like, we've all of us come from a different degrees of brokenness because we're human, and that manifests itself in like different ways. But like through God, like restoration is possible. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So like, what we don't want to do is like put out a spirit of condemnation, because that's comes from the devil, right?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? God, it's conviction that comes from God, and conviction is what helps us to like see our sin and then turn to God for help. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Want to move away from it.
Yeah. So, that's what we want to do, man. That's what we're hoping to do, is to put a light on it so we can all like move in a better direction and change.
Absolutely. And just encourage anybody that's out there that might be dealing with it and hasn't put words to it, or hasn't put an idea behind it, to know that, look, it's never too late. At the end of the day, it's never too late, like I said, to get the ship, back on the train back on the right.
Ship back on.
Oh, it sounded a little too close, huh?
It sounded real close. It was on the border.
Oof.
Get the ship, the boats.
Enunciate.
Yeah, on the right path.
Yeah. Get marked and flagged for something.
You know what I'm saying?
But nah, man. So but that's really, basically what I wanted to kind of hit on, man. I got a homie, a family member who dealt with some of the same difficulties that I dealt with, and because of how bitter it was, and because of how much money it was going to cost, and because of like all the hoops and hurdles, he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna fall back. You know what I mean? And when the kid is older, we'll come back to it and we'll try to deal with it then,
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people's situations, Joe.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people's situations. You hear about absentee dads and this and that third, and it's not always because they want to be.
Yeah, there's different reasons
always
behind that. And sometimes in life you just want to give up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what it feels like to be in that situation, but I do know what it feels like to give up, to like, or want to give up on something. So yeah, man, like, hopefully like people will start changing their minds. Like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to fight for my kid, to be in my kid's life, or fight to like, sometimes people just need to apologize for stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's a good place to start. Like, you know what? Hey, we both had a part in this, but I just want to take responsibility for my part and just say, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Just to like, cause that's how healing starts. And so we need healing, man. Like,
we need more healing, man. Point blank, period. Like, we need more healing. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to, maybe a person wasn't looking at it the same way, so this puts a little spotlight on it, and maybe you can get that conviction on the inside to, start maneuvering a little bit differently, you know what I'm saying? But definitely understand that this is all out of love, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because
you got some life-changing stuff, man, like you just shared. So
yeah, man.
You're constantly in my prayers, brother.
I appreciate it, man. It's going to require, the village, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to really work on structure.
Yeah.
And just really, man, patience and a super saturation of love, man.
Yeah.
Thankfully the boys have been, it's not like we haven't seen them in the last, couple of years. They've been there for 2 years,
But it's
about
going
a
to
year
be different. They're going to be mostly with you now,
Yep.
away from the mom. There's
Yep.
a lot of, this podcast, we can go on for like a long time on just that topic, but there's, there's going to be a lot of emotional stuff that's, going to come up, and
It's going to be real.
Yeah. So, just send up, if you guys watch this, please send prayers up for my boy, Izzy. You know what I'm saying?
And for the kids and for their mom too. It's going to be, change for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, but what we're trying to do, man, is just impact lives in a much better way, man, and just deal with it through love. You know what I'm saying? Handle it like Christ does. That's it.
Absolutely.
So, man, I think that's
we're
not too
good.
shabby, man. I think so.
There we go.
So, hey, it's been real talking to you guys, man. Not only have a great rest of the week, make it a great rest of the week. And until next time, man, get busy.
Peace.
Peace.
Busy!